Hello and welcome to episode number 54. Today's topic is judgment stopping you? So, um, there's actually so many things with this particular topic. I could probably talk for quite a while about it, but it's really looking at the place where you. Oh, wow, there really is so many things that are going on. But it's really looking at the place where you end up stopping yourself because you are aware of the judgment of somebody else. And, or it may not be one person, it may be a group of people, it may be all kinds of things, but you're just aware of that judgment. And so you choose to do whatever you would like to do. And what I'd really like to talk about today is how, going through like choosing something different. When you end up becoming aware of this in your world, a lot of the times that's the reason and justification and conclusion and story that you give yourself to stop choosing or not choose what you know would create more in your life. And so if you're in a place where you're aware of like, oh, I actually know, I know if I choose this, it'll create something more. And still you don't actually choose it. You don't actually choose it because you are aware of what other people will think by you choosing that. And so you give yourself permission, basically, to not do that thing that you actually do know will create something different. And so the biggest thing is like, well, how can I change that? What can I do different? What can I choose different? And the really the thing about it is just to choose something different, to actually choose what you know creates more. And it's funny because a lot of people will go into the how, and it's like, well, how do I do that? Like, how can I go beyond it? Well, one is just to stop buying the judgments. So stop buying them and making them more significant than your awareness. And this is also something that people will struggle with. And so it's like, well, instead of buying that awareness, buying that judgment, whatever it is, and it can be positive, negative, it doesn't really matter, but you're just aware of something and you use that to stop you. So what if you didn't buy it? What if you didn't take that on? And this is where people go into making things really difficult. And we're awesome at making things really difficult. We're actually amazing at it. It's a capacity that a lot of people have. So I'm going to just do a quick example of really how easy and simple it can be if you didn't want to make it difficult. And so the short answer is, well, stop buying the judgment, stop taking it on. And people are like, well, I've been doing it all my life and blah, 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 and it's so hard and da, 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 and they go into the story, which doesn't create anything greater. And so what if so this is what it looks like to stop buying the judgment. So it'd be like going into a store and say you have something, that you like buying and you buy it every day. I'm going to use Nutella. So I'm going to the store and I'm buying Nutella, and I love buying Nutella, and I'm buying Nutella because I love it and I've bought it my whole life. So I'm just going to keep on buying it. It's almost like this thing where you just do something because you've always done it. So, well, what you can do is you can go into a store, instead of buying Nutella, maybe you end up buying peanut butter. It's not a big deal. Like, you literally, instead of buying the Nutella, you buy the peanut butter. And then you go and pay for it and whatever, and you leave. So that's really a really basic, simple example of what it would be. Like, instead of buying the judgment, don't buy the judgment. get something else. Actually, in this case, don't buy any judgment, but really follow your awareness of what you know is possible and what will create greater for you and and everyone. So it's really, instead of going to buy the Nutella, it's like not buying the Nutella. It's really that simple. And we make it super difficult. And we have all these reasons and justifications of why we can't do something, why it is difficult, why it has to be hard. All these things which aren't actually true. If you really look at it, it's not actually true. It's literally just choose something else and not buy what you bought before. And it's interesting how we really choose to make things more difficult than they need to be. And we really do by our own stories in particular, because that's really the thing that holds us back, is the stories that we tell ourselves, um, the reason and justifications, the stories that we can't do something. We don't do it so much with why we can do something. And if you look at your life, at the things that you do choose, and that you're like, well, yeah, I can just do that. It's super easy. You never, there aren't any reasons and justifications for that. It's just like, it's easy. Like, I can just do that. Like, can't everyone do that? And no, not everyone can do whatever that thing is that comes super easy to you. And so it's really interesting on how, when you flip things around and you look at them from a different perspective or a different way, all the things that we make super hard, all the things that we say we can't do, may not actually be true. We may be just limiting ourselves because that's what we've chosen up until this time. A great example of this is people that have had, I'm going to have had really massive physical transformations with their bodies. And that's the best way to see, because people can really relate to that, because they can actually see it. It's a physical transformation. So you see, I'm sure you've seen it on YouTube, or I think there's been some shows where people will lose a lot of weight or whatever. And so they basically started with like, okay, well, I'm going to change something, and I kind of know it's actually possible. So I'm going to see what I can actually create different. And that's the premise. They didn't start with the premise of, I can't do it. Because if they started with that, they wouldn't get anywhere, and they would have stopped before they started, most likely. And that's where most people go. And so it's like turning that around and going, okay, I'm not going to buy the story that I've been telling myself my whole life, that I can't change this. I'm just using it as physical transformation as an example, because it is something that people tend to be able to see. There's so many other transformations too, where people show up in a completely different way, and they actually are, they completely change their life around. And there's plenty of examples of that as well. And all the difference between that and not changing your life around is just the simple, like, oh, wait a second, I'm going to choose something different. I'm not going to keep on buying this this judgment that I have of myself that I can't actually create this. And it's really as simple as that. We do an awesome job at making things difficult, but when you really want to change something, you can. And when you're ready to change whatever it is in your life, it can be anything, you can actually change it. You can literally change anything you choose to change. And so that's really what today, what I really wanted to talk about, is that really the most of the places that we don't change things is because we judge ourselves for it. And we buy the story that we've told ourselves that we can't, which is not actually true. And it may show up in a completely different way than we are currently looking at it. And that is often the case. Though the truth is that you can do so many things that you actually never thought were possible. And what is it in your life that you'd like to change? And what is it in your life that you judge yourself the most about? I mean, some people is about their body or a part of their body. Some people have other judgments, like that they're not capable to do something. Maybe they believe that they're shy, or that they can't interact with people, or whatever it may be. There's all kinds of things that we use, and it's really that willingness to go beyond that thing that we've told ourselves is a limitation, and simply choosing something else. And it can be that easy. It really can. And what if it was? And what if you were actually willing to change something? And if there is something, what is it? I'm curious to know. So please leave a comment down below. And what else is actually possible in your life and living that you never considered as a possibility up until this very moment? So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you again next week. Have an awesome week. Bye bye.